Hello. The National Assembly politics comes to the fore as Bola Tinubu plays host to some of those eyeing the presiding officer's role in the National Assembly. And the Julius Abure faction of the Labour Party raised an alarm over plots by the Lamidi Apapa faction working to withdraw the party's election petitions before the tribunal, including that of Peter Obi. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the program. We're keeping tabs on the aftermath of the Adamawa governorship election and the role played by the suspended resident electoral commissioner, Mr. Hudu Hari, where INEC has said they have still not been able to cite him. INEC had since written to the police that the man should be investigated and prosecuted, but declared his whereabouts unknown. It will be important for relevant authorities not to allow this matter to die without appropriate and final action on the matter, which threatened Nigeria's democracy. It's about 10 days now since that very unpopular action of the REC, and 9 days since INEC has summoned him to the headquarters. But INEC says they're not able to cite the man. So we're keeping tabs on it and hoping that action will be duly served and justice will be duly served in that matter. There are a few issues that we'll be talking about tonight. One is the National Assembly politics, and some of those who are now visiting Bola Tinubu since he returned to Nigeria. Some of those who are eyeing the office of the presiding officer in the National Assembly are already going to see the president-elect. We'll hear from them what this means, and of course, how APC will be able to sail through the waters, the murky and very intricate waters of the National Assembly politics. We'll touch on that. So also, we will be hearing Mrs. Binani, Aishatu Dairo Binani's standpoint and perspective in all of these Adamawa governorship election saga. And of course, we will also be hearing from Labour Party. There are threats that there are those who are planning to withdraw the cases, including that of Peter Obi, from the Election Petition Tribunal. All of this we have for you tonight on the program, so stick around with me, everyone. But first, let's serve you with some of your political roundup stories.
Hello and good evening. I am Kayla Megwa, and these are your political roundup stories for today. Nigeria's First Lady, Mrs. Aisha Buhari, says the valuable contributions of partners in healthcare, education, empowerment of youth and women have made the journey of President Muhammadu Buhari's administration easy and smooth within the last 8 years. Mrs. Buhari was speaking at the State House in Abuja while hosting members of the diplomatic community and some women to commemorate the end of the 2023 Ramadan period in Abuja, where she appreciates development partners, wives of governors and service chiefs for their support on the success of her foundation.
I would like to appreciate and thank all, more especially the wife of the Vice President, the wives of the executive governors, and all our friends and associates.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has arraigned the Speaker of the Ondo State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Bamidele Oleye-Logun, before the State High Court in Akure over alleged fraud. The Speaker was also arraigned along with the lawmaker representing Akoko Southwest Constituency 1 at the Ondo State House of Assembly, Felemu Bankole, and a civil servant, Mr. Shegun Bankole. They all pleaded not guilty to allegations leveled against them. Counsel to the EFCC, Kingsley Kudus, who prayed the court to remand the defendants at the Olokuta Correctional Facility in Akure, argued that though they had pleaded not guilty, the defendants were still in the hands of the court while the trial continues. In his submission, counsel to the defendants, Mr. Femi Emodamori, asked the court to strike out the EFCC's prayer for remand, saying the administrative bail application on the defendants was still active. He explained further that the second defendant, Oloye-Logun, is having a health challenge that needs needs urgent medical attention. In his ruling, trial judge Justice Adegboyega Adebusoye granted the defendant's administrative bail to the next hearing and adjourned the case till May the 18th, 2023 for a proper hearing. The All Progressives Congress APC in Taraba State has expelled a governorship aspirant of the party in the just concluded 2023 general elections, David Sabo Kente, for alleged anti-party activities. The party has also suspended the senator-elect for Taraba South Senatorial District, David Jimkuta, for anti-party activities during the elections. Addressing a press conference in Jalingo, the state capital, the APC state chairman, El Sudi Ibrahim, insisted that he's still the chairman of the party. He asked that David Sabo Kente should stop parading himself as a member of the party and has recommended the senator-elect to the National Executive Committee office for expulsion.
For avoidance of doubt, Chief David Sabo Kente stands expelled.
And Plateau State Governor-elect, Mr. Caleb Muftwang, has inaugurated a 9-member handing over and swearing-in committee for the successful transition of power. This is coming barely 3 weeks after Governor Simon Lalong inaugurated a central planning committee to oversee the transition to the incoming government of the People's Democratic Party in the state. Speaking at the ceremony, which also marked the dissolution of the campaign council, the governor-elect notes that the victory of the party in the last governorship election is for good governance as well as the opportunity to correct the mistakes of the past administration. 3 serving lawmakers on the platform of the People's Democratic Party and the All Progressives Grand Alliance from Owerri Federal Constituency and their supporters, numbering about 2,000, have defected to the All Progressives Congress APC in Imo State. At the declaration event held at Indubisi Kano Square in Owerri, the Imo State capital, the lawmakers and their supporters said they made the decision to join the APC because of the leadership qualities and giant strides of the Hope Uzodinma administration in the last 3.5 years. Another group of supporters under the aegis of Imo State Joint Parliament, comprising some serving and former lawmakers in Imo State, have also thrown their weight behind the candidature of the governor of Imo State, Mr. Hope Uzodinma, as he seeks a second tenure in office. Addressing newsmen in Owerri, the Imo State capital, the spokesman of the group, a former lawmaker representing Agota State constituency, Mr. Henry Ezediaro, said that the 3.5-year administration of Governor Hope Uzodinma has changed the course of development in Imo State.
We make both to stay in all sincerity that the Hope Uzodinma have performed credibly more than expected.
And those are your political roundup stories for today.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us on the program. So let's begin with our very first conversation. And look, Bola Tinubu arrived the country yesterday, the president-elect, and a lot of visitation, which some of his close allies have said one of the reasons why he needed to leave the country to go and get some rest. Well, today he's been receiving leaders of the party, members of the National Assembly, and ahead of the inauguration of the new administration, some senior members of the APC are assuring Nigerians that the incoming administration will not fail to deliver on its manifesto of renewed hope. Senator Barnabas Gemade was one of those who spoke to Channels Television. And of course, those you can see on your screen, Senator Opeyemi Bamidele, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Gbajabiamila, Senator Godswill Akpabio, one of those who are eyeing the presiding officer's position, and of course, Senator Barau Jibrin from Kano State. Let me allow you to listen to one of the leaders of the party, Barnabas Gemade, and what he feels about the issue of zoning in the APC, and of course, Senator Tanko Almakura, the former governor of Nasarawa State. Take a listen to both of them.
This Fourth Republic has come with a new dimension, and everybody expects that there should be zoning whenever government is about to be formed. And I believe that both assemblymen and senators in this country know that there will be some form of zoning so that they can have a spread of all the principal positions in that sector of government. So I believe it's something that ought to be done, and it will be done. This is not a matter that is an open door kind of issue. You always have to put a lot of things into consideration. So it's not something you can just stand and say, this is the way it's going to be. I believe that when it finally comes out, it will be acceptable to Nigerians. That's the most important thing. Inclusiveness is all we're looking for.
We have to comply by the spirit of the Constitution. A situation where everybody will have a sense of belonging and self-determination. It's very, very necessary that if we have to have a stable government, a very peaceful separation of powers, we also have to consider what the Constitution says about giving everybody a sense of belonging.
Well, you heard Senator Tanko Amakura and Barnabas Kemade there talking about inclusiveness, how the Tinubu will have to meander some of the landmines that are always setting themselves ahead of the National Assembly inauguration and the politics of the national, especially that of the leadership of the National Assembly. One of those who are who is looking for the office of the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, also spoke with Channels Television. Take a listen.
The issue of Senate presidency is a function of the senators, and particularly all the senators-elect, including those who are returning, and they are all my colleagues. I've had the privilege of serving the Senate before as a minority leader, and so any senator should be ready, if his colleagues so wish, to avail himself to be used as a Senate president. So the chances for somebody like me will be very high because of the fact that my colleagues already know my track record.
Yeah, Godswill Akpabio, senator-elect from Akwa Ibom State, member of the APC. But it's been a beehive of activities. Those stalwarts of the APC have thronged the residence of the president-elect. We might be seeing those kind of visitation in the coming days. It's just less than 40 days before Bola Tinubu and Kashim Shettima will be inaugurated as president and vice president of Nigeria. Let's get a sense of what this means for the APC, for Nigeria, and in fact, all of those tendencies have been thrown up in those scenarios. I have joining me an APC lawmaker, Senator Ibrahim Olori-Egbe, member of the APC from Kwara State. Thank you so much indeed for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you so much indeed. I mean, interestingly, today is World Malaria Day, and you are the Senate chair on health. If you see what is happening in Angola, for example, one would think that the situation and perhaps what is being done here is not enough in Nigeria in terms of vaccination and fighting and dealing with the scourge of malaria. What more can we do to really deal a decisive blow or make sure that malaria is not a factor that disturbing the health of an average Nigerian?
Thank you very much. Yes, we still need to do more, but if we go by the what I call the slogan for this year's World Malaria Day, which is time to drive malaria to zero, invest, innovate, and implement. The first action point, investment, is what we need to do more in Nigeria. Currently, the resources that are allocated to malaria directly are mostly from either donor or what we get from loans. Because majorly, most of the strategies that are being implemented are being done through those investments. Of course, we have huge indirect investment that goes to address malaria. Because when you talk about malaria, is a major public health issue in Nigeria. 60% of outpatient attendance in Nigeria is because of malaria, both at the primary, even at our tertiary hospital. As such, the salaries that we pay to staff, the investments we put to put all this infrastructure together are geared towards malaria. So, but we are talking of direct investment. So one of the things that we need to do more is to improve and increase direct investment. Now, the innovation part of it, you mentioned the issue of vaccines. Nigeria is yet to start or commence administration of vaccines. The first vaccines that was approved by WHO, the RTSS, Nigeria has placed an order of 1 million doses. That's very small because 1 million doses will treat 250,000 children only because there are 4 doses per child. The vaccine is given at 5, 6, 7 months and 1 year of age. So, but there is light, at the end of the tunnel. The R21, which is a new vaccine, which recently, about 2 weeks ago or so, NAFDAC has approved it, for use in the country will be a game changer because Nigeria will be participating in the 4th stage of the trial of that vaccine. The first vaccines, Nigeria wasn't part of the country where the trial was conducted, but because of the WHO approval, we can use it. But the production of that first one is very minimal worldwide. So the production line is very minimal. That's why it's only 1 million. For our population, that's very, very small because our total population in Nigeria is 200 million. If you look at the percentage of under 250,000 doses is just sitting on that. But without 21, we are going to get more innovation. Now, the third aspect of the malaria, this year's this is about implementation. I think Nigeria is doing more. And if you look at it, so far, if you look at the WHO report, we are not regressing. We are progressing as far as conquering malaria is concerned. The last report indicated that we have less number of deaths compared to what we used to have before. And we have less prevalence. It may be small, it's about 22%. But if you look at the WHO report, the total number of cases that were averted and total number of deaths averted is quite significant. So we are making that progress. And then with the coming in of the new multilateral credit that we have from World Bank, the Islamic Development Bank, and the African Development Bank, about $364 million, which was approved by the National Assembly last year, which the implementation has started now, that will enable the various strategies to be expanded from 24 states to all the 36 states of the country. With that, I think in the nearest future, by 2025, when the current strategy which we have will expire, we'll be able to have moved on and move well. So the thing that will be critical is for us to invest more. It's for us to take the innovation in terms of the new vaccines, because we are yet to start it, and then to implement those strategies intensively across the country.
Malaria might sound because everybody in Nigeria suffers from malaria, and it sounds so common and commonplace. But if you look at the estimation, malaria is seen as the biggest killer in Nigeria, with about 10 million cases and an average of 200,000 deaths yearly.
It's more than 10 million cases. It's about 51 million cases per annum.
But
of course, about 173 million of the population are exposed to malaria. So which means it's almost, about 200 something million.
So it's about 200,000 people are being killed.
About 207,000, what was the estimated death in 2022. So it's a significant, it's a big problem. And most of those 207,000
over 200,000 people
are children and pregnant women. Under 5 children and pregnant women are mostly affected.
So one will wonder, what kind of government will not wake up when that huge number of people are being killed by a disease that is commonplace? And I'm wondering, the number of money that you said is being plowed in dealing with malaria, it's not so much. We're getting 1 million doses of the vaccine. Isn't this the kind of situation that a government that is serious about fixing that cares about the health of its people, we should be getting 10 million doses, vaccine doses, if not for Nigeria?
There are 2 issues. There is the issue of availability, the production. It's just like when the COVID-19 vaccine
But do we even have we even subscribed to it? Do we have budget for it?
We only allocated 1 million. That's why I said the R21 will be a game changer, because the country, the manufacturer of that R21 are trying to manufacture about 200 million globally. And of course...
Is there a plan in the budget for it?
No, not in the current 2023 budget. And that's why I said we need to invest more. There's no plan. In the current 2023 budget, we don't have budget allocation for malaria vaccines.
If those vaccines work, how drastic do you think the deaths that malaria causes will be dropped?
No, it will be very, very, very drastic. It will be very drastic. Because with that, it means there will be 100% prevention. But I must say something also. You see, when we talk about investment, even for the vaccine, it's not only to invest to buy the vaccines. There are other indirect investment that is required to deliver the vaccines, which will be total increase in investment in health. Just like when I appeared in your last program when we were talking about the health worker issue and so on, I said we need to invest more in health. Our current budget allocation to health is less than 5%. And we are committed in 2001 in Abuja to 15%. And I said a new government coming in must at least start from 10% from 2024 budget. If you allocate such to health, it means we have more resources that will go to systems that will deliver, whether it's the vaccines, whether it's any other intervention. I can agree with you that You see, maybe because of the commonality of malaria.
It makes people think...
But the cost is very huge. You know, the cost of treatment, not only cost of death, even for those that survive. If you look at estimates, the total cost that malaria costs about 132 billion naira to treat malaria annually. But most of this comes out of the pocket.
Over 2 trillion.
About 2 trillion was estimated based on projection of if everybody have complicated malaria, which is estimated between 20 to 60,000, an average of about 30,000, and they multiply that by 51 million. I do know that, but I think
Senator,
the conservative one is that we need to invest more.
Yeah, my point here is, Senator, if there is something that kills people more than any other thing in Nigeria, I think we should pay more attention to it.
We are paying that. The government is paying attention to various strategies, but I still need to do more. I do agree with you.
All right.
But not only federal government, I think it's government at all levels. Because to treat malaria is something that should be done at basic primary health care level.
Local government level. That's
what I said, basic primary health care, which is the local government state responsibilities. But the treatment...
you and I know what happens to local government funding.
But that's where we have to...
If those state governors and the governors are not allowing them to really utilize their funds.
That's where we have to go.
Let me take you to other area. Well, I mean, people should know malaria is the biggest killer in Nigeria, and attention must be paid to it.
I agree with you.
That needs to be emphasized, and so that everyone who is around and need to know in government that they need to pay more attention to that. Thank you so much, Senator. Let's go into the politics of the National Assembly. Do you see this being more dramatic than ever?
Well, it looks like that, but I think the party which I belong to, APC, should be able to handle the situation. Everybody, just like many people that interviewed there, any elected senator can aspire to be a leader in the Senate because it's first among equal.
Except for the new timers.
Oh, except for the new timer, thank you. Yeah, except because the rules, any ranking senator, let me be correct, because the rules, our current rule, the 2022 rules amended. 2015 was the one we came in with, we have amended it. Even 2015 and 2022, ranking is very critical and important. And I heard from people saying there will be an amendment. No. Ranking is an international universally accepted.
And it can only be from the majority party.
Well, that is not in the rule.
In your Senate rule? And is it in the House of Reps rule?
I don't know about that. I've not gone through the House rule, I must admit. But Senate rule, what it says is that it's about ranking and it's about you being nominated. It means you cannot be nominated if you are not ranked. So our ranking is number of times in Senate, not even, the ranking is classified into two. First is number of times you have been in the Senate, then the House of Rep membership comes in later.
Or House of Assembly?
House of Assembly is not written in our rule. It's only considered in convention.
Those who feel very bad because there are some of those who have been speakers in their houses of assembly and now probably in the House of Reps or Senate, they're still being seen as lawmakers.
You know, they are seen, but like when I got to the Senate also, I had assembly ranking. I did raise this one. I was told that, well, this is what is in the rule. But it was considered in two things for me. It was considered in terms of my being given a chairman of the Council of Committee that I had. And it was even considered in terms of the allocation of office, where my office now stays, because allocation of everything...
What about your seat?
No, well, the seat was based on alphabetical order of all the first-time senators. So my seat was in... The ranking was used for the initial first, second, third, to all the other senators. Once you're a first-timer, alphabet is used to be able to put the seat.
Seniority matters.
Oh, of course. It's a very important thing in the National Assembly.
So, today I was reading where someone like Femi Fani-Kayode was making reference to the pairing of Ojuzo Kalu and Senator Sani Musa. There are all those now who are also pairing Godswill Akpabio and Senator Jibrin from Kano State. Deputy. As Deputy Senate President, all of this pairing, it does look like the party is also fragmented. There are those interests. And you can see Godswill Akpabio and Senator Jibrin were with Bola Tinubu in this whole handling, because this is also, first and foremost, the prerogative of the APC. APC stepped in 2015. But you know what happened with your friend, Senator Bukola Saraki, and what happened again in 2019. The party doesn't look like it learned from what happened in 2015. But what do you think is the best way to handle this?
I think the party learned less in 2019. I was part of the 2019 process, and we had the meetings of the party. And you can see that it went in the direction of where the party wanted it to go in 2019. So the 2015 was a lesson learned by the party. I know, the party came in very, very late, and that was why what happened. In 2019, the party came in early, and the party caucus met, and the party, even not only for the Senate president leader, for the deputy Senate president, I was aware of what went in the party, where the party had to ask some ranking senator to say, okay, please, can you step down, allow this to go like this because of the zoning in the party. So as a member of the party, and a critical member for that matter, I think the party will step in and come into the situation to come up with appropriate zone. And as you can see, many people that are speaking, everybody is waiting for that. So, but of course, you have to first of all show your aspiration. And outside the Senate President, Deputy Senate President, there are other positions also, which will come into consideration based on your aspirations and other interests that will be given. That will be considered.
But, there are those who say baggages on one hand for some of those who are aspiring, those who say, okay, the politics is not favorable. But, so you look at zoning on one hand. You look at those who gave the party, because there are those who are in your party who are saying, look, first and foremost, put aside zoning. Let's look at those who gave the party votes into this election, and you analyze it. APC won in 12 states. Out of those 12 states, you won only in one state of the Northeast, 2 in the North Central, 4 in 2 in the Northwest, 4 in North Central, 4 in Southwest. This is how your party won in 2023 election. Would you say, consider first those who gave us votes other than zoning?
Well, you heard what Senator Almakura said. I think the election, yes, is over. We need to consider that. But now we have a country to also consider. The leadership of the country, governance, there should be inclusiveness. I think the interview you showed earlier shows what Senator Almakura said. I think the party, we look at a party that wants to govern the country, Nigeria. And part of what the Constitution, under Section 14.4, try to do is to be able to see that we stabilize this country called Nigeria through various means, including the fact that there must be federal character in everything that we do. So, and I think this will come into play in terms of the thinking of the party. So the essence of zoning is to be able to address that spirit of the Constitution in terms of inclusiveness, in terms of carrying everybody along. So all will come into consideration. 2, there are various ways through which the party will be able to, if I want to say, reward the various segments or sectors that have brought in votes, because without the vote, you can't be talking about all this we are talking about. So it's not only the National Assembly leadership. There are other ways through which that can be handled.
So a lot of people think that there are a lot of experience in and around Bola Tinubu. There is a Femi Gbajabiamila. A lot of people think, well, that may be the chief of staff to the president. And he's a speaker. He's one of the most experienced lawmakers in Nigeria today. You look at, even Bola Tinubu himself was formerly a senator. His wife, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, is a sitting senator. So, and you have a lot of people who are very close to Bola. This is the time that a lot of people believe that the handling of the National Assembly politics should be better than ever before. Do you think so?
Yeah, I think so. And I believe that is what will happen. Because the president himself is very experienced. He was a former legislator. He has been a governor in the state where he has handled, and in the state which is quite cosmopolitan and complex, and he has handled twice leadership issues at that level. Not only that, mentioning all those that you mentioned, and beyond that, other capacities available within the party will be able to come in. And as you mentioned, one of the things, again, is lessons are always learned in life. 2015 was a lesson learned by the party, and I'm sure I would say by the country generally. That will also come in to make the party to come in a very good way, to see that there's peace, and that we have leadership that's accepted by all, and that we're able to get the National Assembly that will work together with the executive to deliver for Nigerians.
Nigerians are very, very now critical about the activities of government, especially National Assembly members. And Tinubu will have a lot of pressure on his shoulder because a lot of Nigerians will now look at him critically with fine lens on how he does things and how he goes about things. And I'm not sure there is so much of patience. And now your party will be under pressure, isn't it? And what kind of National Assembly do you think will satisfy the interests of Nigerians?
I think it's a National Assembly that is, ready and willing to be able to analyze policy issues and come up with objective suggestions to the executive. But two, in doing that, it's not to be antagonistic, but to be cooperative and complementing. Because that's what will happen now. If you look, let me say, even the current National Assembly, with all sense of responsibility, people look at it, there were key legislative proposals that passed through, which before hitherto had not been able to go through. The Petroleum Industry Bill, which is now the Petroleum Industry Act, was for many governments that we've had before now. It didn't pass through. But it took this National Assembly to pass it. The Electoral Act that everybody's talking about, in the last 8 years, it didn't pass through. But you can see that we were able to do that. The offshore, onshore. So several of that. Even from my committee, we have a game changer in the health sector, the National Health Insurance Authority Act, where we've made health insurance mandatory. That law started since 2007. I was in civil society team then, where we have been pushing for that, for the amendment to the 1999 National Health Insurance. But it's this National Assembly that was able to achieve that. So there were several things that we have done. But it's because we have to look at what is happening currently vis-a-vis the global issues, the issue of COVID, the economic meltdown that happened globally, and then the issue of security in the Sahel that is coming in. So the government, yes, Nigerians are expecting, things to happen. Everybody's aware, both the people that are elected into the executive position and people elected into the National Assembly. So it's a National Assembly that we become aware of the needs and expectations of Nigeria, and working with the executive to be able to hit the ground running. And I can tell you from behind the scene that the elected leadership, president and vice president, are already working on that. They're already having policies, discussions, and policy...
How volatile do you think things could be? 70% of the senators elect are new members. Same thing in the national...
they are not 70% that are new. There are some who, 70% are not members of the current 9th Assembly.
No, that's what I'm saying. There are new members.
Okay, but they are not necessarily new. For example, if you say Senator Akpabio is new to the 10th Assembly, but it's not new in the National Assembly.
They're not returning. I see what you mean.
You get my point. We have several, like the senator from Bauchi, Abdul Ningi, is returning from Bauchi.
Yes.
So we have several members of House of Reps who have now moved.
But the case is different in the House of Reps.
Yeah,
you have newbies. There are a lot of them.
In the Senate, if you add those ones that are either members of House of Rep or those who are former members, it will reduce from...
And you have more numbers of minority political parties. There are going to be 8 political parties making up the National Assembly. Do you see volatility?
No, I don't see that.
Politicking?
I don't see that. And I'll tell you why. As a current member of the current National Assembly, we started, it's about the same thing. APC had 60 when we started, and the minority had 49. But of course, it's only PDP and YPP that we had. But when you get to National Assembly, when you are in the chamber, there's no issue of party. It's all about the country. When you're a committee, it's not about, I'm from this. We are not operating a parliamentary system of government, mind you. We are operating a presidential system. And in the parliamentary system where there's a key party, 12 party positions, in the presidential system, because the president is an executive listing, when the proposal comes, you look at it objectively. Either you are majority, you are minority, you make your opinion. And this is what happened. Sometimes it is the members of the ruling party that make critical points. Or what I mean by critical is that to be able to criticize policies. But at the end of the day, you agree. Whatever is agreed to is what is passed executive. So I want to tell you that I'm not worried about the multiplicity of parties.
And
because the opinions will not, at the end of the day, the opinions will be opinions of representative of Nigerians for betterment of Nigerians.
Senator Ibrahim Oluri-Egbe, Senator of the APC from Kwara State, thank you so much indeed for sharing your experience and your thoughts about some of these issues with us tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
I appreciate it.
Welcome.
And when we come back, the Labour Party matter gets our attention, and of course, we'll also touch base on what is happening in Adamawa State. We'll be hearing from Mrs. Binani, the perspective of Mrs. Binani tonight on the program. Yeah, Senator Aishatu Dairo Binani. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back.
The President, Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, Comrade Festus Osifo, on behalf of the National Executive Council and the entire working people in Nigeria, welcomes invited guests to the maiden edition of the annual Nigerian Workers' Dinner and Award Night. Theme: Celebrating the Wealth Creators. Venue: International Conference Center, Abuja. Date: Saturday, April 29th, 2023. An event to celebrate outstanding Nigerian workers and employers of labor in public and private sectors as part of the 2023 TUC Pre-May Day celebration activities. Keynote speaker, Dr. Habiba Muda Lawal, former Permanent Secretary, SGF Office. Chairman of the occasion, Comrade Adams Aliyu Oshomole, former President, Nigeria Labour Congress and former Governor, Edo State. Red carpet starts 6 p.m. and dinner 7 p.m. Come and let's celebrate Nigerian workers who toil day and night to create our national wealth. Comrade Nuhu Toro, Secretary General, TUC, signed.
Honestly, words cannot express how we feel. Before the bridge, the road from here, Nasarawa to Loko, is about 74 kilometers. This is the link between Nasarawa and Loko. The bridge, which is about 35 kilometers across the river Benue, has been on for about 10 years now. Before now, if you live here for Loko, 74 kilometers, and somebody leaves Nasarawa for Kaduna, he will get to Kaduna before you get to Loko. The implication of the completion of this bridge is the cutting of the travel distance by about 3 hours. Our people from Nasarawa can now travel from here to Onitsha and come back on the same day. The economic and social consequences of this milestone development can hardly be compared to the ease with which people move has opened the area, and many people are coming around now to invest in agriculture. Where to score this government on this achievement, we will score them extremely high because it has changed the dynamics of the social and economic activities of our people.
The Duchess International Hospital opened its doors in October 2021. The mission of the hospital is to reverse medical tourism. We take particular care here at the Duchess to bring together a combination of the brightest and the best locally, as well as Nigerians in the diaspora who are interested in returning to do very good work for the benefit of our patients here in this country.
The good thing is that we have all international expertise here, all international facilities here, international people working here. Everything is coming together in a space which was considered not great in terms of the availability of healthcare.
Access Bank, of course, has been able to provide us with a robust range of products and services that has enabled us to deliver that standard and quality of healthcare that is integral to our mission as an organization.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. The Labour Party has raised an alarm over an action taken by a factional chairman of the party, Mr. Lamidi Apapa, asking the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal to dismiss all cases by his party's presidential candidate, Peter Obi, against the victory of Bola Tinubu of the APC in the February 25th, 2023 election. Where we're getting back and forth on this matter. I have joining me Mr. Obiora Ifogu, is the acting National Publicity Secretary of the Labour Party. He joins us virtually from Jos. Thank you so much, Mr. Ifo, for joining us. I mean, is this a speculation about the allegation in the statement you released earlier today that Mr. Apapa has gone to court to ask him for the withdrawal of the election petitions by your party in court?
Mr. Shehu, thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Nigerians. It is not in any way speculation. It is what is happening right now. Yesterday, the former national youth leader of the Labour Party, Mr. Anselm Erawe, was on a live television where he boasted that the victory of His Excellency Peter Obi as the president of Nigeria is in his hands. And this morning, our legal teams informed us that these people have also gone around asking some tribunals to withdraw petitions by some of our candidates in so many states. They have done that in Edo State, in the case of Ative. They have done that in Obiapo, in Rivers State. They have done that in so many other places in Lagos. And before now, we have always heard and known that these people were most planted in the party, and they were actually going somewhere. And now, the chicken has come to roast. They are gradually getting close to their target. And that is why we are singing out and shout out loud to Nigerians to hear that these people have plans and they're already getting there. Why do you want if you say you love Labour Party so much, why is the legal advisor, Samuel Akimbade, going around to all the tribunal places where we have cases, withdrawing?
Mr. Ifo, there is a statement this evening by Abayomi Arabambi, and this, let me quote part of it to you. He says, we challenge him to at least produce a copy of the letter of engagement signed by the acting national chairman and acting national secretary to the lawyer that filed the suit, and also a copy of the process filed to discontinue the petition that our presidential candidate filed before the tribunal. End of quote. That other side, Mr. Apapasa, said this is a lie and that they do not, they do not have any of those intentions and they have not taken any of such action. Do you have evidence to this effect?
What I'm telling you is from our team of lawyers. They have gone to some of the tribunals and they were shown documents to say that Labour Party has discontinued some of the cases. We are not here joking. We are telling the nation, the world, the truth. These people are desperate. They are doing everything to achieve their targets. And that is why we are crying out loud so that Nigerians will know that there is danger ahead.
The Apapa side of the divide, Mr. Ifo, has described Mr. Abure and yourself and your other colleagues as illegal, that you do not have a strong standing as far as the law is concerned to be officials of the party. But as it stands right now, what are your next line of action? If this is happening and you think that is threatening the stance of your party in court based on the petitions filed?
No, not at all. It has no way to threaten our position in court. But let me explain something. On the 5th of April, Edo State High Court gave a judgment, an order, asking that our national chairman, Abure, should not in any way be suspended or expelled. And based on that, there is no court up to this month that has vacated that.
What about the FCT High Court? What about the FCT High Court order that says Mr. Abure and 5 others should not parade themselves?
That is a court of concurrent jurisdiction. The FCT High Court, the order, the ex parte order, cannot in any way obviate what the Edo Court has said. Until they show us
Mr. Ifo, now, with what is happening on, you have this legal issue on one hand, you have a political side to it. What is your line of action? Yourself, Mr. Abure, and some of your colleagues, what are you doing? Because you have this fear that they're going to court to jettison or to truncate your chances based on the petitions you filed. What is your next line of action? What are you going to do?
We are going ahead. The petition filed by our principal, the leader of the party, His Excellency Peter Obi, is for the court to determine whether INEC was right in what they did. And it is just there, and it is happening. It is already taking care of itself. And the date has been given. We have all given our submissions. And the court is going ahead to give rulings or judgment on that. So we do not even bother by what these people are doing. The issue is that the neck of the party met on the 18th and suspended so many of them, 6 of them, and the so-called Arab League was expelled. NEC is a higher authority than the NWC. And as I'm talking to you now, these men are under suspension. And the only one that we know that is the national chairman is Abure, known by the law, known by INEC, and every party all around. They know him as the national chairman, and he still oversees the affairs of the party.
Obiora Ifo, Acting National Publicity Secretary of the Labour Party, thank you so much for your time tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Let's take a look at what is the aftermath of the Adamawa governorship election and some of the issues that have been raised. Yesterday, I spoke with the deputy governor-elect in Adamawa State. But tonight, let's get to hear from the side of Mrs. Aishatu Dahiru Binani, the APC governorship candidate. Tonight, I have his campaign coordinator and member-elect in the House of Representatives from Adamawa State, Honorable Vrati Unzonzo. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight.
Thank you for having me. I'm not member-elect. I contested for reps.
Okay, but you didn't win. But you okay?
But
so
I was the candidate of the APC.
Of APC. But you lost in that election. All right. Good that you make that clarification. So, where does this leave your party? Your party is lost in this election based on the declaration of INEC, and there are a lot of allegations, accusing fingers about the alleged role of your candidate and your party in the whole saga, especially the activities of the REC. Did you guys sponsor that act?
Well, you see, this issue is multifaceted. But let me just look at it from 2 angles. One is the high interest of the media, the INEC itself, and some coordinated persons trying to put the searchlight on the REC and the fact that he did announce our candidate, Aishatu Binani, as the winner. Now, there is so much issue around the responsibility of the REC, but there seemed to be no issue about other commissioners that went to Adamawa from Abuja here. They're talking about the national commissioners. You see, as far as we're concerned, the REC acted within his statutory responsibility. He is the REC.
Which is what?
He is the REC. Now, being the REC, he's in charge of activities of INEC in Adamawa State. But what we witnessed in Adamawa State during the election was a situation where some people came from Abuja as national commissioners, and they went to Yola, as far as we're concerned, usurped the powers of the REC and tried to do the job of the REC, which I'm not a staff of INEC, but any right-thinking person knows that the responsibility to coordinate the activities of INEC in Adamawa lies with Hudu. Now, if Abuja have relieved Hudu of any responsibility that we didn't know, and I believe even the media is not aware of that.
Just a moment. Let's break things down. So there were 2 national commissioners that were sent from Abuja.
Yes.
Do you have an idea of how INEC operates?
Of course I do.
Between a national commissioner and a REC, who is more senior?
The national commissioner.
So when you have an activities that you have the REC and the national commissioner, who do you think decision take precedence?
It depends. Now, the issue is this. As I said, they did not communicate to us, whether as a party or to our candidate, that the national commissioners are taking over the responsibilities of the REC. They did not. And I believe even the channel television doesn't have any document from INEC that the REC in Adamawa have been relieved of his responsibility, and the responsibility now lies.
So the question I'm asking, for example, let me use a
Let me answer your question for just a minute.
No. Just a moment.
Yes.
The commissioner of police and the assistant commissioner of police. Obviously, the commissioner of police is more senior to the assistant commissioner of police, isn't it?
Obviously.
When an assistant commissioner of police is seated and a commissioner of police is seated, who do you think's judgment takes precedence?
Oh, you see?
No, I'm asking in terms of seniority.
No.
Hierarchy.
No, I disagree with you, Shehu.
No, I'm asking you a question.
You have to.
Who do you? I'm asking you.
There
I
must be a
disagree
reason
on a position that you don't even know. I'm asking you a question.
I will not tell you what I don't know. I'm telling you what I know. What I'm telling you is simple.
If you calm down and
the national commissioners will not go and
don't get agitated, Mr. Rasta.
Document
just a moment. Between the national commissioner and a rec, who is more senior?
I've already answered that question. Is the national
so when you have the two, a senior officer and a junior officer, whose responsibility is higher?
They are there to supervise, not to do the primary responsibility of the rec. And what we know as a party is they went there on the day that the results would be collated. The rec, before the rec was there to collect the results, they've already started collecting results on behalf of the rec. And you see, that's not their responsibility. And as far as we're concerned, they have a script that they were playing.
Where did you do that?
They were there and they started collecting results before the rec even went there. And that was when the rec now went and now suspended collecting the result till the next day. Now you see a lot of things happen there. And I am surprised that even the media is not talking about the activities of the national commissioners in Adamawa, why they were attacked, how did the people that attacked them know their hotel and know the rooms they were lodging in a hotel of over 200 rooms, and they went there straight. As far as we are concerned, there is a conspiracy between those national commissioners and the Adamawa State government, and that was why the Adamawa State government and her agents went to where they were staying, got a hold of them, and bullied them. And we know for a fact, there were videos to that effect. We saw high government officials of Adamawa State government and security agents that work with the state government attacking those guys because, as far as we are concerned, they went there to retrieve their own end. They went there to retrieve whatever they might have given them to do their own side of the bidding. But nobody is talking about them and their responsibility.
So let me ask you.
People keep talking about hoodoo.
All right.
Even
so
the Festus Okoye of the INEC, we even expected him to show concern, to show empathy about the fact that their staff were maltreated, but nobody is talking about that.
Just a moment. Let's take it one after the other. So the action of Mr. Hudu in announcing Mrs. Binani, is it right?
As far as I'm concerned, it's okay. If Mr. Hudu will announce the election as inconclusive, why wouldn't he announce the winner of the election? When he announced the first election as inconclusive, nobody said anything. Mr. Festus Okoye was on national television to condemn it. But when on the second turn, he announced distinguished Senator Aishatu Binani as the winner of the election, all hell let loose. Why? Is there two laws for the two parties or whatever? So that's why we're telling you that as far as we are concerned, there seems to be a very, very, very biased position taken against our candidate. And it's unfortunate. As far as we're concerned, she's been witch-hunted and she is being drowned by using the media and other individuals that are just out there to victimize her, maybe because she's a woman or something. But then we're proud of her and her achievement.
Just a moment. Do you know what the electoral law says about announcement of result and returning a winner in an election? Who do you think statutorily is given the right to announce the winner of the election?
You see, I don't want to really talk about Section 147 of the Electoral Act and Section 149 because it's sort of a cliche. Now you see, talking about the announcement, whosoever will make that announcement.
Just for a moment, Mr. Vrati. We need to educate and tell our viewers what exactly the law says. The law is clear on who should return in a local government, in a ward, in a local government, and in a state. Specifically in a state, the electoral law talks about the chief returning officer. Was Mr. Hudu, the rec, the returning officer?
Mr. Hudu has already made it clear, to the best of my knowledge, that considering the circumstances he found himself at that moment, he had to take the responsibility to act in accordance with his office. He is the chief returning officer as far as INEC is concerned. As far as Adamawa is concerned,
that's wrong.
He is in charge.
That's
now,
wrong.
If there's a returning officer, whoever is the returning officer,
I will not allow you to say what is wrong. You might have a perspective, but what he said is...
It's my opinion.
No. But I will not allow you to say what is wrong to my viewers on this platform.
Let me explain myself.
What the law says is very clear. No. I will not allow you to say what is wrong.
Allow me to
Just calm down and let me ask you again.
Okay, shoot.
The returning officer, which is a professor, the vice chancellor who came to be the returning officer, as announced by INEC, Mr. Hudu is the rec. And I'm asking you again, are you aware of the returning officer? And you say you're aware. Is Mr. Hudu the returning officer?
He's not.
So
he's not the professor, obviously.
Based on what the electoral law says, was what Mr. Hudu, what he did, was it right or wrong?
It's not wrong.
On what premise?
On the premise that he doesn't want to allow a vacuum in his state. Results must be announced. And if the electoral officer, as far as the information we got at a certain point was, because of the way state government agents were hunting down electoral officers and people who were connected with the election, people were just scamming for safety. You know, so I'm not surprised that the returning officer disappeared. So what
he
do you
disappeared? Really?
Was he at the collation center?
What time was the announcement was supposed to resume on Sunday? Are you aware?
I think officially it should be any time between 10 and 11.
It was actually announced to be 11. Do you know when Mr. Hudu went to the collation center? Are you aware? He went at past 9 o'clock. Do you know the reason?
You see, the security situation in Adamawa at that point...
You're going to something else. I've asked you something.
The situation at that point, I'm not in a position to judge what time he is in his office or in the collation center. Or what. As far as I'm concerned, they've been there all along, maybe through the night and stuff like that. So at the point they decided to start collation or to announce the result, it's up to them. It's not for me to say.
Let me ask you, where is Mr. Hudu?
I don't know. I don't work with INEC and I'm not...
Did you guys sponsor him to do that?
Why should we? Our candidate never have any history of political fraud or violence or anything. Check her records. I mean, this is a woman with impeccable records as far as democracy and leadership is concerned.
But it is a position of your side that what Mr. Hudu did was right.
You see, the position of Mr. Hudu will be determined by the court. Some of these things is not for me to say because it may be sub judice. So as far as we are concerned, these are things that only time will tell, and the court is in the best position.
So what is your
clear all these things.
Next line of action in the whole picture as the scenario played out?
As I just said, matters are before the court of law, and we are going to pursue our mandate honestly and with all commitment to ensure that the trust the people of Adamawa gave the distinguished Senator Binani and they intend to see it through is not thrown to the dogs. So within the ambits of the law, we'll pursue our mandate and we'll also keep charging APC followers and followers of the senator to remain loyal to the party and to the cause.
Can you take 20 seconds to condemn what Mr. Hudu did? A lot of Nigerians have condemned and say it is illegal. INEC has disowned it. The presidency has suspended him. The police is on the lookout for him. Would you take a moment to condemn what he did as an anti-democratic activity?
I'm not in a position to condemn what Mr. Hudu did.
So you think he's right?
If he's right, it's between him and his employers. If he's wrong, it's between him and his employer. As far as
but would you condemn it? Do you think it's anti-democracy or not?
As far as I'm concerned, what has transpired is before the court of law, and we're looking forward to the court of law to ensure that justice is done to us, because a lot of things is happening in Adamawa State, a lot of things is happening to our candidate, and we are doing the best we can to ensure that we live up to the expectation of the people that voted for APC. You see?
All right.
You see,
we're out of time, Mr. Nzonzo. That is what the law says right there on your screen, that the chief returning officer shall announce. The chief returning officer is not Mr. Hudu. Mr. Hudu's roles and responsibilities are clear, and it has been condemned widely by pro-democratic personalities in the country, including INEC. And I hope that you are going to condemn it too. Well, thank you so much indeed,
Mr. Nzonzo. There is a gang up against my candidate, and I am not going to be in any way in
Thank you so much. We are totally out of
against
time.
my candidate.
Thank you so much. Rati Unzonzo is a campaign coordinator for Mrs. Aishatu Dairu Binani. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight. So that's our show for tonight, everyone. And thanks for watching. I'm sure Malay. Bye-bye.
Glad to have you join us. You're watching Newstrack and Channels Television. I'm Ayo Tunde Balogun. Our top stories making the rounds at this time. We start off with the war against malaria, where the World Health Organization states that the R21 Matrix-M malaria vaccine, given provisional approval by the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, still needs to undergo more trials. Now, the country representative of the World Health Organization to Nigeria, Dr. Walter Mulumbo, made it clear at a media parley at the United Nations House in Abuja to celebrate Africa's Vaccine Week, the World Immunization Week, and World Malaria Day that several trials are still pending for the World Health Organization to recommend the vaccine. Dr. Mulumbo did have a call for more access and distribution for the World Health Organization approved RTSS vaccine, which he said has resulted in a decline in deaths from malaria in countries like Ghana and Kenya.
Africa Vaccine Week provides African governments with an opportunity to appraise themselves on the progress and challenges faced in their attempts to ensure access to life-saving vaccines, especially for children on the continent.
Because you don't have symptoms.
Nigeria is part of the 9 countries in Africa that contribute to 79% of Africa's zero-dose children. Nigeria has about 6.2 million children unvaccinated between 2019 and 2021. The World